Have you ever felt like the biggest obstacles that were stopping you from achieving your goals wasn't the world around you? It was nothing really external to you, but it was your own mind telling you to stop this path that you're on. It was your self-doubt that was stopping you from achieving your goals. It's that classic man versus self scenario that we all face when we're going into the unknown areas of trying to achieve something big. Now, for me, solo traveling is what brought that struggle into a very sharp focus. You know, the second guessing, the self-doubt, that really started to show its face. The doubts, the fears, the second guessing, I felt it all. But the thing that I started to realize, it didn't really take more than a day, was that the self-doubt and the fears and all the thoughts that were going on inside of my head were louder than the actual external struggle itself. I think about this anytime there's like some kind of like social issue. I mean, like in-person social issue, like someone's like yelling at you or like reprimanding you, like a boss or a manager or a teacher. Like maybe you got a failing grade. And I think how little of a problem this is compared to everything that I've been through thus far in my life. And when I started solo traveling, pushing through those battles really changed how I perceive myself and really benefited what I believe that I could do. So in this video, I'm gonna share one of the biggest challenges that I faced while solo traveling, which includes literally injuring myself at the airport. It doesn't get much worse than that while solo traveling. But if you like what you see in this video or you like the story that I tell, please leave a like on the video. Please comment, discussion, what things are you worried about when you solo travel? And subscribe if you like content like this, because I'm really trying to build this brand this year. 2025 is the year, and you see I'm a little more consistent than I usually am, so get used to seeing me on your page, and let's get into this. Now, before I booked my first solo travel, the doubts were loud already. What if I can't handle this? What if I get lost? What if something goes wrong that I'm completely ill prepared for? And these questions weren't just thoughts. These were walls. These were barriers that I had to break through. And what I learned is self-doubt isn't something that you just eliminate. These are fears that you have to confront. And once you're out there solo traveling and navigating the unfamiliar territory, striking up conversation with strangers, you really get a sense that these self-doubts and fears are really nothing to be afraid about. Start solving problems on the fly, which is something that you got to be used to in life generally. Basic problem solving on the fly, because you're going to come through that a lot. You're going to confront that a lot in your life. And these fears were just stories that I was telling myself, and the more I got used to traveling, the quieter those stories became. Now, in a future video, I am going to do a video about moments that you probably should be a little more weary of your travels, but those are few and far between. But let's get back on the topic. Now, the time that I actually injured myself, I did a video on why it should be in your early 20s that you should be solo traveling. So just keep that in mind. But the struggles that you face will sometimes be physical. And a big contributor of whether you'll fail or not will be the thoughts that you have when you come across those sort of physical challenges. Now, I'll never forget the moment that I just got off the plane, landed in Romania, grabbed my suitcase, and I went into the bathroom. Thought, maybe I could get a little break from that long ride that I had. And then once I finished up in the restroom, I pulled my suitcase lever up, started walking, and then this striking pain came on my back. Now, for the slightest of moment, I thought to myself right after that, I could pull through this. I'm a dancer. I've said in past videos that I'm a dancer, and I'm used to having back pains, especially in the lower back. I've told the story before about how I was doing a lift in my ballet performances, and those lifts aren't easy, as you can tell. If you didn't work out some certain muscles, it can be hard to do. So I'm not completely unfamiliar with this kind of pain, but for that moment, I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe this whole travel was a mistake. You know, maybe I'm just the biggest idiot in the world for doing what I just did. I could have just stayed home and just relaxed my days on end and not have to worry about, can I survive this? I don't know. You know, my mind was racing. And this decision was made by myself. So I couldn't blame anyone for this. I'm solo traveling, so I have no one to rely on to help me out of this. And if I tell anyone back home, I'm gonna feel like the biggest idiot and the worst burden in the world because now they can't even help me. And I knew I couldn't put that burden on anyone else at home. The decisions that I make by myself are on me. And then after that sudden rush of thoughts that flowed through my brain, I realized life doesn't wait for you to be 100%. Life is just gonna throw that ball at you, and whether you're ready or not to catch it, you gotta be able to catch it. So as I was dragging my suitcase through the terminal, I realized that the only thing that was stopping me mostly from pursuing this trip and not just buying the first ticket back home was the thoughts in my head. I wasn't dying yet, and I've been through this pain before, so I can do this. I can push through this pain, just like I did in my dance performances. Those performances weren't gonna wait for me to be ready. It was showtime or go home time, and I was not going home. By pushing through this minor inconvenience, I realized that I was stronger than my circumstances. This essence of man versus self, it's not a battle with you against the world. It's a battle of you against yourself and your own thoughts. Traveling also means that when we're talking about navigating the unknown cities, you know, traveling means literally going into the unknown. Like, just like they did way back in, you know, how they tell in the history textbooks, you know, of Columbus and, you know, all the great discoverers. You got to travel the unknown to fulfill that sense of exploration deep down that we all have in ourselves. And there were times that I was completely lost, and I was in the new cities and having to get used to the new cultures and not knowing what anyone was saying. And, you know, luckily English was spoken in the cities that I went to, so that was no big deal. But, you know, downloading offline maps is a big help when it comes to being lost in cities like that. So, you know, even though I was facing the harshest of circumstances and not knowing where really to go in this new city, I didn't get lucky. I was well prepared for these problems that I was facing. You know, and I don't really believe in luck. You know, preparation meeting opportunity. That's what people believe luck to be. And I was prepared to take this opportunity by the horns. And, you know, when you download a few offline maps and, you know, learn some basic phrases before you go, you don't necessarily need to know basic phrases, but those were big helps and big key contributors to, you know, making it through my trip. So yes, there were a few minor setbacks, but those were opportunities for growth as me, as a person, as an adult, as a human. You know, setbacks that we're probably not all prepared for, but we won't know if we're not prepared until we actually face it. We'll never know when we're ready until we're actually facing those problems. And that's just what I did. Solo traveling taught me that being uncomfortable is not all that bad. When you push through, you see the more self-confident side of you, and that really comes into fruition in those moments. So I want to close this off with a closing message. You know, taking risks is very important. You know, most of what stops you from achieving what you want to do is internal, those internal thoughts. Mostly some external, but it's mostly internal. Every solo trip that I took taught me more and more that I should just be able to trust myself. You know, trust myself and know that whatever problem I face, I'm capable of pulling through that. And if you haven't solo traveled before, you know, maybe group traveling would be the way for you to start about going this. I do have a group travel versus solo travel video that if you need more insight about that, you know, check that video out. And if you need even more insight about traveling in general, I am a travel agent, I'm a travel advisor. So you might want to hit that subscribe and leave a like on this video if you want more content like this, because that will really boost me in the algorithm and motivate me even more to keep on putting out for you guys. And I do have a Instagram for travel advisory. I'm trying to build up my brand for traveling. And let me know in the comments what more topics that you'd like me to cover, because I am well versed in this traveling thing. You know, a very small percentage of Americans are well versed in this. You know, I covered this in my first video actually, where I talked about how little amount of people have passports. And you know, it's something that I want to change. I want more Americans, more English speakers to be less afraid of traveling, being able to take that big leap into the unknown. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and tune in for more videos. I'll see you guys later.